Going across the board, we have our legacy players up at the top. Over in the middle seat, we have a very interesting matchup here. Banteldrazi from Adam Fronsee versus Spencer Whiteman's White-Red Prison deck. And in Standard, we see Roger Bodee on Black-White Zombies versus Michael Hamilton playing Blue-Red Control. Now, that matchup we've seen before, it is a... We think Blue-Red Control very well positioned for it.
Mm-hmm.
So, Gataxian Probe from Caleb Scherer. We see Cameron Mothersead starting game 1 on a 5-card hand. It's going to be Brainstorm, Spell Pierce, Wasteland, Inkmoth Nexus, and then he's got a Pump Spell in there.
Getting probed again. That's actually the promo Glistener Elf, I do believe.
Oh, okay. So he does actually have the 1-drop creature. Caleb, seeing what his opponent's on, can freely go down to 16 on those Gataxian Probes.
Yeah, you can pay a lot of life against an Infect deck. And Caleb's setting up to win on the first turn of the game.
Storm is 2. Let's do this. Dark Ritual, 3 black mana, Storm's 3. I haven't seen a turn 1 kill in Legacy for a while. Turn 1 on the play. Let's do it, Caleb.
Yeah, we had Belcher on camera. It was a little disappointing that they didn't pull it off.
Yeah, this is where let's start Legacy in style today. Infernal Tutor showing Lion's Eye Diamond, getting another, oh boy, getting another Lion's Eye Diamond.
It's a lot of mana. The fixed Black Lotus.
If he also, all it takes is a Past in Flames here for Caleb, I think.
Past in Flames, second Infernal Tutor.
Yeah.
I suppose you need to get rid of the other card if it's Infernal Tutor.
Okay. Well, look, it's Infernal Tutor. Goes down to 1. In response, cracks 2 Lion's Eye Diamonds, discarding a 3rd Infernal Tutor. Fair enough. Storm at 8. Oh, goodness.
Yeah, now Past in Flames is pretty easily lethal. Got a couple rituals. You can Infernal Tutor for whatever you want.
All right.
Storm's already 8.
All right.
Yeah, you
Looks
just,
like
Infernal for tendrils.
Should have kept Force of Will. Haha.
Yeah. Why didn't you mulligan to 4, idiot?
Don't you know what Legacy deck I play? And he just actually doesn't even need Past in Flames. He finds he tutors for Infernal Tutor, then tutors that one for Tendrils of Agony, which is the 10th spell of the turn. And I do like the elegance there of only storming to 10. He could have gone much higher if he wanted.
Yeah, he could have run up the score.
What's your style? Do you stop at exactly 10, or do you just keep running it up?
If I'm playing on a digital client, I absolutely 100% run up the score.
Just keep. I wonder how high I can storm.
In real life, there's a human being sitting across from you. Their feelings matter. Online, they can concede whatever they want.
Right.
I'm in my apartment.
Yeah.
This is my time. I'm doing my thing.
I always see. I go the opposite way here. I always exactly, if I have, this is true of any of these card games. Like, I always make the exact lethal kill to keep them guessing as to the tilt here is wow, did he just exactly have it? I was on them to feel like I just squeaked by.
They should know how many of all these I still had. It's their right to know.
You're forcing them to see how many. Just keep casting rituals. Do I have the tendrils?
Again,
let's see.
I do. Concede anytime you want. That's a privilege.
All right. So let's look at the sideboards. Cameron's going to need some stuff that costs 0 if he doesn't want that to happen.
He's got some good sideboard cards here. We see 2 copies of Flusterstorm. The 2 surgical extractions are also pretty reasonable. That's some 0.
That wouldn't have helped. That wouldn't have helped there.
Hydroblast does not matter against this build of Storm. There's no Rite of Flames, so that one's not going to matter too much.
Surgical, what would have been justice? If Caleb, if he Infernal Tutors for a second Lion's Eye Diamond, and then when he plays the first LED, Cameron Surgicals away the Infernal Tutors. Just on the first turn.
Yeah.
That would have been such...
I mean, that would be real nice. That would certainly be an issue with his deck registration sheet.
I guess also Caleb cast Gataxian Probes. It's like
he knew it wasn't there.
He knew it wasn't there. Oh, gross.
Yeah.
Okay.
There's an argument to bring in Wasteland in this matchup to stop Caleb from setting up on lands.
Yeah, we saw that when this was against Delver earlier. Actually, Wasteland can be very good if Storm's going for a slow kill.
Yep. On Caleb's side, the 3 Fatal Push, they make sense. You stop that Glistener Elf right in its tracks. It's possible this is a Chrome Mox matchup. That one likely exists for when you feel like you have to go really fast, and this is certainly a matchup that pressures you very quickly. If you feel like there's a problematic permanent, anybody can have Null Rod, so Echoing Truth seems reasonable here. And Cabal Therapy is totally fine. You can buy some time with that one, so that card can come in as well.
All right. For Caleb Scherer, multiple trips to the Players' Championship here. On Team Carnhoarder, the 28-year-old from St. Louis, Missouri, 2 open top 8s. He's got 2 invitational top 8s along with an invitational win. That was that run in the Las Vegas Invitational a couple years back. Actually not in Legacy. Pulled it off in Standard with Obzon Aggro. But, really since then, Storm has been the deck for Caleb, and including a runner-up finish at the Players' Championship the last year.
Yeah, and you saw in that game itself using the Caleb Scherer Storm counter.
I do hope that third part's not true, by the way.
So Caleb spent a little bit of time in Minnesota recently, and I can verify, at least for that weekend, this is a fact.
Entirely.
That's
not, you can't do that. Nope. You can't just eat peanuts.
Does.
No, that's
scoreboard.
That's not how that works. It's like, I don't, there are serious consequences to only eating one
I hear
food.
What you're saying, but you're wrong. I saw it.
That's really gross.
Well, now you're just being mean.
No, this is, I don't know. I don't know what the health implications of only eating peanuts are. But
there's viewers whose diet consists strictly of peanuts, I apologize.
Strictly peanuts. Absolutely nothing else.
I apologize for the way Matthias may have just made you feel.
I apologize for your quality of life right now. Like, eat something else. You'll be amazed. All right. So game 1 of Standard though, Michael Hamilton, blue-red controlled, defeats Roger Bodee. Matchup kind of expect on there, too. Blue-red control's got a lot of weapons to kill creatures. Might be looking at that modern matchup. Bant Eldrazi and white-red Prison.
That's going to be a tough spot for Bant Eldrazi.
Cameron on a mulligan here with Infect. Now, over at StarCityGames.com, we have our weekly sale. That's a different thing from the SCG store on discount every week. This last week, we've been doing a sale of up to 30% off all MP cards. Those are moderately played cards. So if you're trying to get cards for a deck where you plan to play the cards a lot, makes no reason to not get the best price possible. And you'll find that over at Star City Games. That sale's going on all weekend, and so go ahead and check that out today, and come back tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. when we start next week's weekly sale.
Personally, I have very strong feelings about marginally played Grim Monolith. That is a very nice card to have in very bad condition.
Yeah. One thing also, you can get, as I've ordered a lot of moderately played cards from Star City, the definition of moderately played is a very generous one.
Yeah, Star City grades their stuff extremely well. I tweeted a picture of some cards that I picked up from SCG this weekend.
That were MP?
There's an Imperial Recruiter. Multiple people commented that it was mint. It was, in fact, MP from SCG.
Yeah. Cameron, keeping on 6, Scries. It's going to be to the top of the deck. So we're underway with game 2. This is Mothersead versus Scherer over in Legacy. Wooded Foothills from Cameron, no 1-drop. We pass back to Caleb. Caleb might, with a couple, I spy 2 Lotus Petals and a Dark Ritual. I hope he he's just going to pass. I want to see him do it again. I was just like, yeah, let's.
If you don't have the probe, it's really hard to go for it turn 1 in these matchups.
Did you keep a Force of Will this time? Let's see. And Cameron does have a Force of Will. Second fetch land. So Cameron now will make a play to the board. Two Tropical Islands. This is just a 2-color deck.
Yeah, no fear of getting wastelanded in this matchup.
And it's going to be Sylvan Library from Mothersead. I was somewhat expecting something like a pressure card. Blighted Agent. But this is a different way he can play the game, and one that definitely could work.
Yeah, in game 1, mentioned that Scherer can play with his life total plenty against Infect, but it's also true against Storm that you can pay a healthy amount of life. Usually their hands that can go off for 5 can go off for 10.
Caleb will play a fetch land and main phase Brainstorm. Looks to set up some more here. Draws Lion's Eye Diamond. Ponder. Looks like he has a lot of mana. Now the question is, what do he have? Does he have for payoffs and for control cards here? You know, how can he fight against a Force of Will? Lotus Petal for Scherer. 2 spells of the turn. You know, he hasn't broken out his own counter yet, so this may just be a preemptive situation.
Does have a Duress in his hand.
Duress, Lotus Petal, Dark Ritual. So second Lotus Petal. He'll fetch. Yeah, that is enough to get up to ad nauseum.
And while Cameron didn't commit a creature on this turn, the Sylvan Library does represent a form of pressure.
Yeah, it's a draw 3, right? And with Cameron on a mulligan, and Sylvan Library actually is -1 card until you get to untap with it, this is a real good window for Caleb. He'll Duress.
And the Lotus Petals here help him pay for a potential daze to make sure that this Duress goes through.
Well, Force of Will counters the Duress, so now Caleb has Dark Ritual and the 2 petals. So he can't actually make his way up to ad nauseum just yet. Looks like actually he has Infernal Tutor.
Lion's Eye Diamond in hand as well.
So he'll pass. His hand is Lion's Eye Diamond, Infernal Tutor, Ponder, Dark Ritual. And Cameron's just going to draw 3 off that library. Takes 8 damage to do so.
Yikes. And Caleb could have gambled on that turn. Cameron had 2 cards in hand. The fact that he forced the will the Duress, Cameron wants Caleb to think that the backup is another Force of Will and another blue card, or at least a daze.
Ponder by Caleb. Shows Ponder, Brainstorm, and in Cabal Ritual.
I do believe on the previous turn that Cameron's leftover holdings were Become Immense and some other green card.
Yeah, Cameron was shields down. But that's not true anymore. He picked up a Flusterstorm in that top 3. Draw off Ponder for Caleb. The draw is a Gitaxian Probe. So Caleb down to 17. He's going to see what he's up against. It is Invigorate, Become Immense, Flusterstorm. So if Cameron untaps, Caleb is dead, right?
Yeah, this is lethal. The Invigorate would be the 4th card in the graveyard.
Tap 2 for Become Immense.
Yep.
All right.
So Caleb needs to either kill on this turn through a Flusterstorm or find a way to resolve Fatal Push. And he did peel Fatal Push here.
So he's cast this turn Ponder, Gitaxian Probe, and Fatal Push. So Flusterstorm would actually counter this Fatal. Well, I guess Caleb, yeah, Flusterstorm would counter the Fatal Push, right? It would be it would be the 4th spell of the turn. So Caleb would have to pay 4. I guess if he used his Dark Ritual and a Petal, he could pay.
Well, actually, if the Flusterstorm targets the Fatal Push, I believe that Caleb has enough stuff to combo off.
Okay, so he pushes the Glistener Elf, and Cameron just lets it happen. Then Caleb plays Lion's Eye Diamond. And this is a neat play. So what Caleb did here, normally you'd say, why play Lion's Eye Diamond? It adds to Storm. Except I think in this situation, Caleb's setting up for Infernal Tutor into ad nauseum. He actually wants Storm to be low on the combo turn because Caleb's not the player with the Storm card in his hand. It's Cameron's Flusterstorm.
Yeah, you want to be able to resolve that Infernal Tutor despite that Flusterstorm.
Right, so by playing that LED on the previous turn, Caleb's lowering the Storm count.
You still have to inevitably get the Flusterstorm out of the hand.
Right. But something like just, no ritual, cast LED here, crack Lion's Eye Diamond. The Flusterstorm doesn't do anything.
Depends what he finds, but...
Looks like Caleb's going to build up some Storm anyway. Here's Ponder. Island, Dark Ritual, Duress.
Ooh, that Duress is perfect. That's exactly what he was looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, Caleb's going to keep that one on top. Here is Duress. 2nd spell of the turn. Yeah, Cameron cannot be pleased here.
No.
Thinking, oh boy, that feels like you're about to die. Here's Flusterstorm. Caleb, yeah. I was going to take that anyway. Fine, you countered it.
But the leftovers to become immense invigorate. Caleb knows about all that.
Right. Is that why we see him reaching for the Storm counter?
Yes.
And here we go. Dark Ritual off Lotus Petal. Up to 4 spells, 3 black mana. Going to spend 2 of it to cast Infernal Tutor, holding priority. Now he's going to crack Lion's Eye Diamond, so he has no cards in hand. Lion's Eye Diamond makes all black.
Still has a Volcanic Island and a Lotus Petal for any other color. You only need 1 red ever to cast Past in Flames if that's the plan.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly could find Ad Nauseam here, but he might just actually have it more deterministic than that. He has it locked up without having to take a risk on such a thing. He just has Tendrils. And Cameron's at 9.
Yeah, he did pay a lot of life off of that library.
Okay, that's way easier, huh? Just I'll put it fun, the card that kills you. Caleb does that, and 2-0. It is Caleb Scherer in Legacy winning the match over Cameron Mothersead.
Yeah, looks like plenty of matchup. The modern match appears to still be in game 1, and then we have the standard match in its second game here. So we'll cut back and we'll find one of those that we're going to jump over to. But yeah, Caleb Scherer in pretty quick fashion winning 2 games. Cameron did have to take some mulligans, particularly in game 1. That mulligan to 5 was a pretty unfortunate start for that match. You know, Caleb looked at his hand, said, those 5 cards are terrible. You're dead.
Yeah. So we are going to go join the modern match next as they're getting ready for a second game here. It's Bant Eldrazi versus White Red Prison. Adam Fronsee on Bant Eldrazi wins the first game. So Francey gets the second game. That's going to be the match for their team.
Yeah. All of the prison elements of the White-Red Prison deck are very powerful against Eldrazi, but Eldrazi is a very heavy-hitting deck, and Thought-Knot Seer can control a lot of what you're able to do. The deck has a ton of play to it. Engineered Explosives also can destroy a lot of the problematic permanents.
So the players are sideboarding. We're going to get you into the match as soon as they're ready. Also in the standard match between Zombies and Blue-Red Control, that one is evened out at 1 game apiece. So for Cameron Mothersead's team, he loses his match. His team now has lost a game in all 3 matches. They have no more room for error.
Yep, looking for only wins from here.
Right. So Red-White Prison, though, this is a deck we don't see that much of in Modern. It's another one of those Todd Stevens decks that he's come up with.
Yeah.
Against Eldrazi, there's actually a lot of play for this deck, though. A card like Blood Moon from Spencer Whiteman can be very powerful here. It turns off the colorless mana sources.
Franzi does have some hedges against this. Obviously, if he's able to establish Noble Hierarchy, he can produce his colored mana, and then he has 2 Talisman of Progress, which are able to produce colorless through that. You can also make some Scions with your Sky Spawn or what have you.
He is playing a basic Wastes today as well.
And I thought I saw a Ghost Quarter. Maybe I didn't. I'm making that up. There's no Ghost Quarter to help him find that. But he can produce it sometimes. He can say path his own creature. All
right. Now, in Spencer Whiteman's Red-White Prison deck, he's down a game. A lot of what you'd normally expect, it has added some cards from Amonkhet. The Cast Out, the 4-mana Oblivion Ring style card, has been added to the deck.
Yeah, that's a card that helps you smooth out your draws. You can cycle it in a pinch, or it's just a catch-all.
Yeah, that looks really good, actually, in the deck. The deck doesn't play very many cards that cost less than 3, for example.
Right.
But the ability to both cycle and be an unconditional removal spell does seem good here. Now, looking at player sideboards, I would expect this matchup gets a lot tougher for Adam Francey. Spencer Whiteman's sideboard has cards like Another Cast Out, Elspeth Sun's Champion, Journey to Nowhere, Blessed Alliance. All of these seem really good against Bant Eldrazi.
Yes and no. Franzi is coming in with 3 Negate in a natural state that can solve a lot of his problems.
Yeah, that much is true.
I don't know. I always like the blue decks against these nonsense decks, but that's my personal bias.
All right, we're going to go ahead and get you down to the match. They're still sideboarding, but this is Adam Francey versus Spencer Whiteman. So you see both Mothersead and Scherer now conferring with teammates on this one. Yeah, Bant Eldrazi, unlike its colorless counterpart, does have access to blue cards out of the sideboard, which certainly helps in this matchup.
Oh, yeah. And Negate is extremely powerful against the White-Red Prison deck. The White-Red Prison deck relies on being able to hit these prison cards early and often. Frequently, if you're able to counter the first, or certainly the second one coming down, and actually get a permanent on the battlefield, once you have a Thought-Knot Seer in tow, and your opponent can't establish Ensnaring Bridge, it's pretty easy to actually close out the game. There are some Planeswalkers for the White-Red Prison deck that are pretty powerful against the Eldrazi. You know, Nahiri can clean up a lot of things. Gideon Jura is pretty powerful. Chandra Torch of Defiance can kill Thought-Knot Seer specifically. So there's plenty of haymakers on the White-Red Prison side.
Yeah, Elspeth Sun's Champion, if he can survive to it, is a great card against Eldrazi for Spencer Whiteman.
Absolutely.
Now, what do you think about this, though? There's 2 copies of Elspeth Sun's Champion in Adam Fronzee's sideboard. We don't always see that in Bant. Would you assume those are coming in?
It generates little creatures that are harder for the prison deck to interact with. It's totally reasonable.
Yeah, if one lands, it's not easy for Spencer to deal with that card.
Yeah, you're already banking on needing to destroy Ensnaring Bridge, and this is something that makes the 1-for-1 removal pretty poor against you.
So Fronsee on White-Red Prison is going to be on the play this game. Now, I haven't seen the deck. The lock pieces they have, Blood Moon, Chalice of the Void are the 2 lock pieces. Chalice of the Void's really no good here, but Blood Moon is pretty strong.
Chalice of the Void's reasonable. It's not at its peak. I mean, there are Ancient Stirrings, which is one of the more powerful cards in the Bant Eldrazi deck. Noble Hierarch as well, but you can't cast Chalice until turn 2 usually, though there are 4 Simian Spirit Guide in the deck.
Yeah, where Spencer benefits is that his removal is generally good enough to kill big cards, which Adam's deck's full of.
Yep.
Looks like a mulligan for Spencer Whiteman on the prison side of things.
Yeah, with the composition of the deck, it's a deck that doesn't have many ways to improve the quality of the cards in its hand. You're afforded a little bit of scrying with your Temple of Triumph, but you kind of have to play the cards you're dealt, so it makes sense to mulligan relatively aggressively with this deck.
Exactly. Especially with these, you see this in Legacy too with prison-style decks. You need something, or you need some early pressure.
Right.
And if you don't find it, you have to mulligan for it.
Yeah, you can't wait until turn 4 to cast a Nahiri.
Yeah.
It's not going to get you there.
Well, the curve of the deck is so high, right? Almost all these spells cost 4, so you need some Simian Spirit Guides or a good 3-mana card. If Spencer just plays lands, Adam might just make Thought-Knot Seers, and Spencer could lose without ever casting a spell.
And Spencer is playing 2 copies of Gemstone Caverns. That's just a mana accelerant, but it only works when it's in your opening hand on the draw.
Yeah, it lets you steal the play from your opponent. All right, Scry to the bottom for Whiteman. He is kept on 6. And he's going to lead things off. Basic Plains and a go. Looks like he actually has plenty of land here. The question is, what sort of payoff does he have? For Adam Fronsee, the start is going to be Noble Hierarch. Fronsee, 2 copies of Engineered Explosives in the opener. He's kept both those in against this deck.
If you're able to get to 3 colors of mana, which Noble Hierarch certainly helps you do, you can solve any Blood Moons and Snaring Bridges with the explosives.
That's just 1 copy. So he has Negate, Engineered Explosives, Eldrazi Displacer, at least 1 land.
Yeah, looking at the options of casting Sky Spawner this turn or just leaving up Negate.
Right.
Nothing can go too terribly wrong on turn 3, given that he has Basic Forest and Noble Hierarch.
Yeah, and also it's double plains on Spencer's side of the board. So the card Anger of the Gods would be a concern here, but Spencer... Well, I was going to say, hold on, Spencer can't cast it.
This is a 2 rugged prairie deck, my friend.
So that could be a bit of a bluff here on Spencer's part. If there's a, Rugged Prairie Anger of the Gods off double plains, would be quite the play here, as Eldrazi Sky Spawner is where Adam goes. That would be real nice for Spencer.
Well,
3rd Basic Plains and a pass.
Basic Plains is less powerful than Rugged Prairie.
You see Spencer's hand. It looks like he has some Chandra Torch of Defiance and Blood Moon in it. He may not have the red mana source. Now, if he finds a card like Wrath of God, that would be okay, minus the fact that Adam Fronsee has 2 negates.
Yeah.
A swing for 3 from Fronsee puts Whiteman down to 17.
Yeah, France's able to cast a 3-drop and leave up Negate on this turn because of the Eldrazi Sky Spawner.
Yeah. Now, Noble Hierarch is Adam's only blue source at the moment. Eldrazi Displacer will be the play. And a pass. Temple of Triumph. There's a red source for Whiteman. He'll get a scry. And just pass. So 4 lands, no spells so far for the white-red prison side of things. Will he, the question I think here is, will Spencer be able to cast a spell at all through these negates? And you see Fronsee's wanting to set up a wall. He immediately shocks for Hallowed Fountain before swinging for 6.
The prison deck is not a deck that puts your life total under very much duress at all. Certainly no non-land permanence for Spencer just yet. Shocking relatively free, and the fact that it's a second blue source makes it pretty easy to be insulated at least for 1 turn cycle.
And Francey debating going for Eldrazi Sky Spawner. It would take him off one of his blue mana sources. You know, and he decides double negate is the wiser play.
Yeah, the Sky Spawner gives him 3 more power. A Displacer activation does technically give him 1 more power. Displace the Sky Spawner, you get another Scion for your trouble.
Sure. Spencer draws Blood Moon. It's a second copy.
There's also, Spencer's just on a 2-turn clock, and France's plays don't actually impact that clock.
So a Johnny Vengeant is going to be tried for, and that will get the first negate.
Because the Displacer can't protect itself, that one's worth a negate.
Yeah, it would remove the Displacer, and that would be a lot of Adam's clock. And we see here Adam on end step uses the Displacer ability on Sky Spawner. That adds 1 power to the board, which can be pretty relevant here in establishing a clock. So here's Eldrazi Temple. The swing will be for 7. Adam will get to have negate up. So this is last turn to resolve something for Whiteman. He's going to need to go through this negate.
This is a very promising position for Adam.
Spencer may finish the game without resolving a spell.
Team having a discussion over whether to preemptively commit this engineered explosive. Seems like a pretty low value play from here.
Right, well, the negate looks really good. Journey to Nowhere from Spencer Whiteman.
There was a question over what just casting explosives on this turn can protect them against. Something like Journey to Nowhere, you know, if you just have the explosives on the table on 2, you don't lose any of your power. But Journey on even the strongest creature, the Eldrazi Displacer, leaves Adam with lethal attackers.
Spencer, Blessed Alliance, perhaps, Journey to Nowhere, but none of these save him. He'll just pass.
He can certainly attempt the Blessed Alliance, and it looks pretty nice, but it's just not going to resolve.
And step Francey will make another 1/1. And Spencer shows his hand, says he doesn't have anything. So that's going to be the game for Adam Francey, the match for Adam Francey, and their team will win the round.
Yeah, pretty